Welcome back to Off the Leash, the podcast of the Mankato MoonDogs. This week on episode 2, we have Tyler Haack. Tyler, thanks for being with us.
Hey, glad to be here.
I'm jealous of the shirt, Tyler. When can I get one of those?
I think they're coming out next week.
Ooh, I am excited indeed. Tyler, can you explain your position you have with the MoonDogs?
So this year I'm doing video production, so I'm going to be sitting up in the booth and making sure everybody can see what we're watching at the field at home.
Mm-hmm. So, what are some projects or creative things you have coming to the MoonDogs this season for the fans?
Well, so far this season we've done a jersey release video, and that was one of our big early projects. We do have a couple more videos that we're working on, remaking some of the Sports Center commercials from the glory days,
Mm-hmm.
and of course just trying to have fun with the promotional videos that our new promotion staff are going to be working with.
That's awesome. Tyler, we're going to take a step back and we're going to go way back to when you were a kid. What was the moment for you that you knew you wanted to work in baseball or in production in general?
So this is all kind of new to me. I had no idea that I wanted to work in production. This is just kind of the position that was open. And last year I did camera work for the Moondogs. And with this position being open, it just kind of seemed like a natural progression to give it a shot.
So,
When it comes back to looking at working in sports, that wasn't something that I actually knew that I wanted to do until I was really in my early 20s.
mhm. So what was that moment that clicked? Were you watching Sports Center? Were you watching a Moondogs game? What was it where it's like, I want to work in sports? What was that moment exactly?
I want to say it was when I was doing some work with the Minnesota State High School League with girls softball.
Mhm.
That gets hosted up at Caswell Park in North Mankato, and I was doing some work with that, and I just got to see the faces of everybody coming in, how excited they were to be going to a sporting event, to see their sister, their friend play this game, and I was just kind of like, this is what I want to do. I want to work in sports.
So what was that next step to the Moondogs that you saw that job opportunity? Was it online? Was it around the area? Or what made you reach out to the Moondogs specifically?
So I've been going to school at MSU here in Mankato for 3 years now, and it just kind of came across in an email like, hey, if you're looking for an internship, the Moondogs are always hiring, so reach out to them. And I reached out to Tyler Cook, the GM, and a week later he gave me an interview, and the rest of it was history from there.
So in my short time with the Moondogs, everyone who I've met, which is a couple people, I dare say, have all talked about the culture of the Moondogs. Could you speak to that culture, a moment in particular that points to it?
The culture of the Moondogs is we're just a big family. We enjoy having fun, we enjoy working hard, and we enjoy like creating this moment for the fans.
Mhm. Is there some moment that stands out in particular your first day where someone helped you out, or is there maybe even the GM reaching out to you saying, "Hey, nice job," or something that really stands out that makes us a family?
I'd say like anytime that you do anything, everybody there is willing to like pat you on the back and say you did a great job, you know, give you the good pointers on what you did, and like I said, it's a family, so everybody's there just to pat you on the back whenever you do anything.
So it is a family. What's been your favorite family moment then?
Well, so last year I was given the nickname Dad because I'm the oldest of all the interns, and I actually got a Father's Day card.
Was that Father's? What did it say? What was in it? What was it?
So if I remember correctly, it was just, we think about you on these special days. Happy Father's Day, and I had it signed by I want to say like 6 or 7 of the interns last year.
That's awesome. That is phenomenal. Is there a moment on the field that's been your favorite? I know the All Star game was last year, which everyone points to, but anything like that?
The All Star game was an amazing time last year. Another big part that like sticks out to me is just at the end of the game, all the kids coming onto the field
Hmm.
and seeing how those players interact with the kids. Some of those guys really care about like giving the kids the best experience possible, and that working on the first base cam, I got to see that firsthand, and that was just an amazing time.
As a former cameraman myself, I know the first base, third base cams are not the most fun jobs in the world. But what stories do you have from there? Getting hit with the ball, talking to a player? Because I know you have some. Because everyone cameraman has one.
Oh, so I believe last week or last episode you had Matt Higgins on.
Hmm.
It was probably a week into the season. He had a bat crack in half, and half of the bat came flying into my bay, and I had to dodge that, grabbing the camera, making sure that didn't get hurt, and it almost took my head off.
Did you get Matt to sign that bat at least and hang it up or something like that?
So, fun fact about that one. Uh, nobody thought it was Matt Higgins that did it, so they got the player who they all thought did it sign it. So it was signed by Cole Andavogie, who was our catcher last year. He caught for the All Star game, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I have it signed by Cole Andavogie, not by Matt Higgins, but I have the picture proof that it was Matt Higgins.
That is hilarious. Do you have, speaking on the players of the Moondogs, do you have a favorite player in particular, or a favorite former player?
So obviously last year was something special. Matt Higgins really pushed his way up into the top and just one of my favorite players of all times. Outside of Matt Higgins, I really enjoyed Adam Fogel last year. He was just a stand-up guy, one of a kind person. Always had a smile on his face, and he was really good with the kids.
That's awesome. Particular. Um, I am gonna be new to the area. Do you have any places for me to eat, or what's like the local food story in Mankato? Because I
We
have.
have a lot of this. We have a lot of the same chain foods.
Uh,
So if you're trying to find good food, you have to go to the local places. Tav on the Ave is a big one.
Heard about that one.
Uh, and I believe Nola Bella downtown, that's also a good place to grab a bite to eat. A little bit more expensive, but it's an ever-changing menu.
Hmm. My personal favorite, being from Wisconsin, is the fish fries. You got any Friday fish fries that are pretty good there? Putting you,
No, I don't know of any fish fries.
I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I don't know very many fish fries. I know that there's a couple of places around town that you can get pretty decent fish.
Hmm.
Westwood out on Lake Washington, that's a few miles outside of town. Good place to grab some fish.
So, what are your future goals?
Future goals is to continue to work in sports in some capacity. I've just like the guys, my goal is to eventually make it to the pros someday. If it's Major League Baseball, the NHL, NFL, MLS, I'll do it.
Hmm. So, do you have any word of advice for people looking for work within the Moondogs or interns joining the Moondogs? What would you say to them?
Don't be afraid to work hard.
Hmm.
It does not go unnoticed within the organization, from ownerships to the GM, Tyler Cook. There's always somebody who's going to recognize your hard work.
And with the 72 games in 80 days, do you have any advice for me on trying to maintain the burnout?
Well, any of our off days, you better take a vocal day.
Hmm.
And I really don't know. As a last year's broadcaster, it sounded like he kind of tapered out at the end because of how long of a season it is. You just got to take care of your body. When you feel it's when you feel the pain coming on, you need to take that time.
Cool, cool, cool. And before we end this interview, is there one thing that you want to tell the fans that's coming up for the season, or one thing you're super excited about the show, whether it be the commercials you touched on earlier, or a reason for them to come out the ballpark and see the Moondogs?
Well, based on what I've seen on this roster that we've got coming up, we're going to have ourselves a really good team again this year. We're going to be backstopped by a bunch of returning pitchers. So let's hope that the Dogs can kind of repeat what they did last year. Maybe not that 18-1 at home to start the season, but you know, we're going to have ourselves a fun time.
Thank you, Tyler, for coming on. I appreciate your time and I appreciate the last minute. Thank you, Tyler.
Not a problem. Thank you.
All right, now stay tuned as we have Davis Crane, also from Bellarmine University, coming up on Off the Leash. And welcome back to the second part of the Moondogs podcast. I'm Jacob Tepfer. I'm joined by Davis Crane. Davis, thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You got a big game against UNA today?
Absolutely, we do. Yep.
I'll give you an easy softball question first. How you feeling about the game today? Are you ready? Excited? What's going on?
Pretty good. I'm ready. We came here last year and won the series here last year, and our record overall is pretty good against UNA. But I don't know. I mean, it's baseball, so you never know what can happen. But I'm just glad that we're here. I'm glad that we're playing. It's warm here finally, so it's nice to be playing in some warm. I felt like we were playing in the cold all year long this year, so it's finally nice to go and take BP and like sweat and not have to be worried about wearing undershirts and stuff like that.
Yeah, transitioning on, can you talk about your Bellarmine career and what's it's been like to play at that program alongside Matt Higgins and alongside fellow Moondogs as well?
It's been awesome. I mean, we're making the jump from D2 to D1. My freshman year last year was our first year in Division One, so I think that was kind of a eye opener for all of us really, because whether it was the new guys who were D2 guys or it was freshmen that had come in and this is their first taste of college baseball, it was really cool. It's awesome going and playing against some of these big schools, and even though sometimes we might go and they might smack us, I mean we get to see their stadiums and I mean, we hang around with a lot of them. You know, we gave Liberty a lot of trouble last year, and we hung around with Tennessee this year, and it's cool. And then, I mean, a big part of that is, like you said, it's Matt. I mean, it's Higgy, and everybody in the Mankato community knows Higgy. I mean, he's unreal. He's been backpacking us this year, that's for sure. He is one of the way that he just approaches the game is just so inspiring because like everybody who knows him knows that he's such like a happy dude and he's never negative and like even when he's slumping he doesn't let it get to his head and he shows up with a smile on his face and he's like, hey guys, and then he just kind of like steps in the box and rakes and then like that's just what he does. And so for me, being able to come to Bellarmine and kind of follow in his footsteps and learn a lot of things from him, I've gotten pretty close with him this year. And he's helped me with a lot of things, definitely with the physical aspect of the game, but a lot of baseball's mental and the way that he handles it mentally is just, it's insane. And it's definitely a big part for why he's so good. And so it's, it's really cool for me to be able to kind of follow in his footsteps and almost act like it's almost like a little brother type deal, you know. And I'm just trying to learn. I mean, I just watch everything he does, and I try and learn everything that he does because it works. I mean, it works as you can see looking at his numbers. It works.
It does indeed. From the one time I have met Matt, that was a perfect impersonation. That made me laugh pretty hard. But going from D2 to D1, has it been scary? What's it like kind of going into those bigger ballparks as this new university?
Well, so for me, I went last year was our first year, and I was a freshman, so I just came straight out of high school. And that was, oh man, the fall was tough. I had a tough fall. We had some really good arms last year. We had a guy that um, actually Shane and Dalen, and they've all played in Mankato, but they were two pitchers last year. Where I remember my first couple weeks on campus facing them, I was like, I can't even see the baseball. I don't know what they're throwing. I mean, I'd never seen arms like that before. But then, as you know, as the season went on and we went and started playing more teams like Liberty and Kennesaw and stuff, you started seeing more arms. But it was definitely a jump for everybody except for Higgins. He was kind of really the only guy that just right off the bat because his numbers were really good last year and then he got hurt. But
Mhm.
for everybody else, I'd say it was definitely a little bit of an adjusting period, but we're getting there
Mhm.
slowly but surely. It's definitely a step for sure.
Mhm. As I'm personally a hitting connoisseur, I love reading Ted Williams' book, Babe Ruth books. What
Hmm.
was the adjustment you made for hitting to get used to that pitching? Was it just knowing the pitcher scouting reports better? Was it the timing, getting your foot down, a change in your batting stance? What helped you become a better hitter?
Yeah, I would say last year when I came in the fall, because in high school, I mean, I'm a pretty big guy. I'd I'd like to think that I have a decent amount of power. So in high school, I was able to really like launch balls and get out in front because a lot of the arms you're seeing are, they're high school arms. But then you get to this level and seeing a guy that throws 92, 93 is like, that's what you see. That's the normal starter that you're going to see. And so I think for me, a big part of it was simplifying my approach freshman year, which helped me a lot because once I simplified my approach and I was just looking for certain pitches, that's when my numbers started going up last year. And I ended up having a pretty good year. And then I would say this year, the thing that I've been working on the most is um, after last year, I was finally on people's scouting reports. Like people had the synergy data, what zone I can hit in, what zone I can't hit in. And so I think this year the big adjustment for me has been learning how to hit high level like off speed, learning how to take high level off speed pitches, working good at bats, and not being so uber aggressive. Even though you need to be aggressive, but you can also wait for your pitch. And at this level, you might get one good pitch in at bat to hit. So if you jump out early and swing at a pitch that isn't yours and then you roll it over, then you could be like, well, maybe if I saw a couple more, I would have gotten a good pitch to hit there. So
Mhm.
that for me is something that I've been working on this year is just kind of staying simple and just seeing the ball the whole way and kind of becoming more of a complete hitter, like knowing the strike zone, stuff like that.
Davis, your numbers speak for themselves. With your walk last year, I believe 16 this year, 22, second on the team. What do you credit your eye to? Is it just playing MLB The Show? Is it watching film? What is it?
um, it's I mean, part of it's got to be the show. Everybody knows that if you play the show, if you grind it like I did, then you know. But I would say I don't know. I'd always say in high school I had a pretty good eye. I just think that some guys can just see the ball well out of the pitcher's hands better than others. I mean, I know some guys have trouble with it. Like our hitting coach here, Chris Dominguez, he said that when he got to the bigs, he ended up having to get LASIK because he was finding it hard to see the ball. But then, you look at some big leaguers like Juan Soto who like never ever swing at a ball ever. And I'm not I'm just using those two as comparisons, but I've always just felt like I've been able to kind of see the ball well, and um, I don't know. I just feel like I have a good sense of the strike zone, and after usually my first at bat with the umpires, I kind of know what they give and what they take, and I like to ask our catchers too at the beginning of the game what the zone's like, so that I have an idea when I go up there, because a
Mhm.
lot of baseball is about preparation, and so I think that's a big part of me getting on base and stuff is sometimes people don't want to make pitches to me. Also, that part too. So, sometimes if a guy gets 2-0 on me or 3-0 on me, and there's a base open, they're like, well, then let's just, that's just part of baseball. That's some of the strategic aspect of baseball is, if you get a guy 3-0 and he's a threat, just put him on and go after the next guy. So it's a little bit of everything, but I'd say I've always kind of had a good sense of the strike zone and whatnot.
Cool. Going forward with the rest of your career at Bellarmine, what are your goals and aspirations?
Oh man, I've got a lot of them. Um, First off, I'm only a sophomore now, so there's a lot of guys that are still older than me. But next year, I feel like coming back as a junior and being a third year starter and having Northwood's experience after this summer, one of my biggest goals is to just go back and be a really good leader, try and lead the guys because if you look at our overall record last year and this year, it's not great, but in it's easy to kind of lose morale when you have a low record. And
Mhm.
so I think that's part of what my objective is no matter what the outcome is next year, because our school is still lacking a lot of things that a lot of these other big Division 1 schools have. And so we just kind of got to work with what we have. And I feel like next year I just want to come back and be a really good leader, help the young guys that are coming in because we're losing a lot of old guys. We're going to have a lot of new guys on the team next year. So I think for me, just going back, being a good leader, and then obviously, whatever I can do numbers wise happens if it happens. But I'm more focused on trying to help this team make the next jump up from um, just kind of being at the Division 1 level to like really competing at the Division 1 level. Because I know we can do it. There's some humps we got to get over.
100%. So speaking about Mankato, you touched on it earlier. What is that connection like? Do they reach out to you? Because we have a couple players on the team. How does that happen?
Yeah.
What's the process like that? Is it an honor to like? Are you reaching out? Are they reaching out? What's that like?
Oh, well, first off, I mean, it's a huge honor the fact that I was able to get a spot here. I mean, when I came in freshman year, there's little postcards hanging up in our locker room, um, that the coaches wrote in the past complimenting our guys. I know that there have been a lot of pitchers that have gone. I know of a couple position players. I know there was a catcher here. His youngest brother I played with since high school. He plays with us now. His Brady Fott. I'm pretty sure he played in Mankato, and Higgins. Basically, how it worked for me was like in the fall we got there and we were all trying to kind of figure out our summer spots and whatever. And me and Higgins in the fall we would do yoga every day before practice. Me, him, and one other person on our team we would do yoga and we were talking. And he was like, "Do you know where you're going for summer yet?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Well, would you want to play at Mankato?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I'd want to play at Mankato." And then the next day, our assistant coach called me and he's like, "Hey, I got a contract lined up for you for Mankato," and so I filled it out. And I mean, yeah, it's a huge honor. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get there and get to work and meet all my teammates. Honestly,
Mhm. Any nerves going in? Some people consider the Northwoods League the best league. Some second to the Cape Cod. A little nervous facing the
hmm
pitch, or how do you feeling?
um, I wouldn't say I'm nervous. I mean, at this point, I feel like there's not a whole lot out there that I haven't seen already. I just saw Ben Joyce on Tuesday, so I feel like all the other arms out there. I mean, at this point, every arm that I'm going to see, every arm that this whole team's going to see is going to be a high level arm. If you're playing in the Northwoods, you're clearly a high level player. So I try not to worry too much about the other team or the guys that I'm facing because you just got to focus on what you can do because there's so much in baseball that's out of your hands. I mean, you can strike out and make a perfect swing, still strike out. The pitcher can just make a better pitch, and so I've got to keep that in mind and know that I am going to run into some good arms, but I'm confident, I'm excited, I'm ready to get to work.
Yeah, it's one of those Brandon Phillips quotes where he says, "I'm going to strike out 200 times, but then next at bat, I'm going to go up with that confidence."
Exactly. I mean, you got to have confidence. That's in the batter's box. That's the moment when you start slumping and you let it get to your head. If you just go up there and you're not hitting too well and you just come back to the dugout and you just say, take one small thing from that last at bat and piece it together to the next at bat. But if you go up to the next at bat and you're like, oh, I struck out last time. I got to look for this pitch. I got to think about my timing. I got to think about this. you're gonna go up there and you're just gonna keep slumping. It's all mental, and you gotta have confidence.
Mhm.
That's the biggest part about hitting, in my opinion, is confidence. The best hitters in the world are the most confident ones.
Mhm. Davis, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Is there anything you want to say to the Mankato faithful?
I'm excited to get there. I'm excited to see all of you all pack ISG Field. I mean, I'm ready to get there. We're definitely going to bring you all some really fun games this summer. A lot of wins, I can promise you all that. I'm excited to get there, see everybody. So that's about it.
Awesome. So that has been Davis Crane for episode 2 of Off the Leash. Make sure to check out episode 1 with Matt Higgins and episode 3 when it comes out. Thanks, Davis.
Thank you.